Good morning, mathematicians. Let's finish out this week 14 with our very last column, our Thursday column. What fraction of the below figure is shaded? So what I need to figure here is how many are shaded out of the total number of squares that I'm seeing. So first of all, let's get that denominator. I see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 rows, right? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 columns. So really, this is a 5 by 7 array, which means my denominator will be 35. Now here I see 6 that are shaded because I see 3 by 2, or I could individually count. I see 6 over here. Now over here I see a 4 by 4 array, so I see 16 that are shaded in this particular section. Well, 16 plus 6 is going to give me 22. That tells me my answer. What fraction of the below figure is shaded? Well, we see 22/35 that are shaded. Let's go to number 2. Use the diagram to show 1/3 being divided into 2. So first of all, I'm going to break this into thirds, right? So we have first shown that dividend, we have 1/3. Now, well, we see thirds. Now, this is the particular piece that I'm looking at to do this next part of my problem. I want to divide 1/3 into 2 pieces. So here is 1/3, and I'm now dividing it into 2 pieces, right? Now, we are going to be getting to the answer in number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of lightly shade because this is what the answer is, right? Now, we've done number 1, but for number 2, I have to find out this is one of how many parts in this diagram, and therefore what fraction does this show? Well, this shows one of what? So I see this third being divided into 2 parts. If I divided this third into 2 parts, I would now have 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I divided this third into 2 parts, I would now have 6 among the entire diagram. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how I see that this is 1/6. So 1/3 divided by 2 equals 1/6. That's how we get to our answer, okay, to create our equation in part 2. Part 3 says, how does number 1 show your answer for number 2? Well, when we divide 1/3 by 2, we get 1/6. And that is exactly how all of those things, part 1 and 2 and 3 for this question too, that is how they all connect. Let's go to our next question. We are going to be multiplying whole numbers and mixed numbers. So for number 1, I am looking at 6 times 1 and 1/2. Remember, we are going to kind of unfurl this problem. We are going to let our 6 multiply itself by the 1, and then we're going to let our 6 multiply itself by the half. So we have 6 times 1 is 6, and now 6 times a half is going to be 6/2. Or we could say, what's a half of 6? Well, a half of 6 is 3, right? So that is 6 plus 3 is 9. Our answer to number 1 is 9, right? I get the same thing if I would have done 6/2 because 2 goes into 6 3 times. So we would arrive at the very same place even if you made it in proper fraction at first. For number 2, we had 5 times 3/7. So this is a proper fraction instead of a mixed number. So I'm going to go ahead and just multiply as we have been doing. I'm going to multiply my 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15, and my denominator stays the same. So I'm looking at 15/7. For part 3, I'm going to write it out because I do see a mixed number. I see 7 and a tenth, right? And we're going to multiply that by 9. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my 6 times my, or excuse me, my 7 times my 9, which gives me 63. And then we're going to multiply our 9 times our 9/10. Well, 9 times 9, or 9 times 1/10, I actually said the answer, is going to be 9/10. So here we already see our answer. When we join this together, we're going to see 63 and 9/10. I'm going to write that right here. I'm going to have to kind of write small, 63 and 9/10. Okay. Our last question for this number 3, we're going to multiply our 9 times our numerator. 9 times 3 is 54, and our denominator stays the same. It stays a 5, so we have our answer of 54 fifths. Okay, now it says write an expression to represent the shaded area below, right? Well, if I take a look at the shaded area, this, it tells me, right, and kind of like the key here, it tells me that this represents one whole. Well, with that in mind, how much does each of these shaded parts represent? Each of these shaded parts is a half, right? Here's a half, here's a half, here's a half. So I really could just think about this as a half times 3 because I really have 1/2 3 times. That's one expression that we could write. It doesn't tell us that we have to take that into an equation, but I sure love the thought of that because really these together would be one whole. And then we add one more half. So really the answer would be 1/2. I couldn't resist taking that and making it all the way to an equation with the equal sign and the answer. Now, it does not say we have to explain, so even though there's lots of lines there, I have answered the question. Let's go on to this one. What is the area of the shaded region? And this one does tell us to explain, right? So notice the key. I am told that this equals 1. So if this equals 1, I have 1 there, 2, 3, and how many of those equaled 1? 4 of those equaled 1. So I have 3 so far, but wouldn't I have 4 here? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. 5 here, and then I've got 1 little extra, don't I? So really, when I look at this, and let me go over this again, just since I made that little error here. This is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's 1 left over, isn't there? So really my answer here is 5 and 1 of the 4 that it would take to build another one. Now I did it just by really like grouping off 4 of those smaller rectangles. If I need to explain this, I can use really the thought behind how I knew that to explain it. So I'm going to say that 4 smaller rectangles equals 1 whole. I had how many smaller rectangles? If I count those up, I have 21. So I had 21 smaller rectangles. And of course, 21 being divided by 4, that's going to give us this idea of 5 and 1/4. Well, that is finished. We are done with week